Hello and welcome to a live pop culture on Deprogrammed with Keri Smith. I'm your host, Keri. I'm here with my friend, Mystery Chris, and we're going to be hanging out and talking about the history of Barbie tonight. So, welcome. I promise you, we have some funny things in store that we found during our research. You did a lot of research for this topic, didn't you?
I know. I'm shocked. Barbie of all things.
Yeah.
Wow. Learn more about Barbie in just this last few hours than my entire life.
She's been around since the 50s. So, there's a lot. There's a lot
Yeah.
that's happened with this brand. And she's had a huge impact. I think one of the stats I read somewhere said like 90% of 92% of American girls aged 3 to 12 have owned a Barbie.
Dang.
That's a lot. That's almost
Hmm.
everyone. So, welcome if it's your first time here. This is a live show that Mr. Chris and I do on Wednesday nights where we pick a topic in pop culture and we just go down the rabbit hole and examine it. We have previous episodes recently about the Titanic, about the rise and fall of MTV. We're still waiting on them to approve our second episode on that when it got copyright struck. And we appealed and we're still waiting. But the first one's here on YouTube, or you can watch the second one is up on Rumble. And tonight, as I said, we're going to be doing the history of Barbie, since there's a new movie coming out, and just looking at the cultural impact Barbie's had, and also the impact that culture has had on Barbie. And the more I started reading about this, the more I realized that Barbie is one of those brands, Mattel's one of those brands that really lets controversy and loud, angry people sway them. So we're going to be looking at that throughout the decades. If it's your first time here and you like the show, please hit like. You can subscribe to the channel. You can also hit the little bell to get a notification if we're doing a live stream on a Wednesday night. And if you are a regular viewer and you want to help support the show, you can become a locals member. You can be a member here at YouTube or Patreon or Subscribestar. So that's it. How are you? How are you,
I'm
Mr.
all right. How are you?
I'm good. I actually, speaking of topics, I know we're about to get into the main topic, but the past 2 days I saw something fascinating, and it was the attempted piling on or cancellation of Jason Aldean, who's a big pop country star, radio country star. And he has a song out, a new single that came out in May called Try That in a Small Town. And, radio country, it's not really my thing. I like old country. But I don't have a problem with him. He's one of the best at doing what he does, at doing the radio country style and pop country, and, um, he and his wife have been the subject of numerous attempted cancellations because they don't have the right politics, and they don't bend the knee to woke. And so this song is a pretty benign song. It's him and the band, singing, in a town square, a small town square, and then they cut in footage from all the Antifa and BLM riots and fires and things, and the lyrics are basically like, you wanna carjack an old lady or, punch someone in the face, try that in a small town. You wanna spit in a cop's face, try that in a small town. You wanna take my guns away, try that in a small town. Like, it's sort of it made me think a little bit of, Hank Williams Jr.'s, "A Country Boy Will Survive." Sort of like, "You can get away with that in the big city, but not here in the small town because we take care of each other," and so it's pretty benign, but because a lot of activists online started saying, "Oh, he's a racist. It's a lynching song. He's talking about," which he never talks about race at all. They're like, "He's talking about white people in small towns beating up black people." What? And all these white woke ladies were the ones, as far as I can tell on Twitter, who started the pylon. One of them, she's been doing victory laps ever since CMT pulled the video for the song. CMT cowards that they are, pulled the video. And what I noticed happening is the Streisand effect. It's amazing to watch it in real time, because I wouldn't have known of the song or the video had those crazy woke activists not tried to get it canceled, had CMT not caved and pulled the video. Now I've watched the video several times. I went to iTunes, which I never buy music anymore. I went to iTunes and bought the single, and he went to number 1 last night. He's one on the general charts now. So that's what you did, woke white activists. You shot his song to number 1, and I love it. And I kind of want it to be, I've been thinking about it, like, this needs to be the blueprint going forward. Like, you want to try and cancel someone, we're gonna make sure their thing is more successful than it ever would have been. You know, that's what you get. Those are the consequences of trying to pile on someone.
I
love
just
that.
learned about this an hour or so before we went live, because I was looking at one of the websites that I often check, and they had a thread on it on this forum. And it was funny seeing the replies there, because a lot of these people kind of lean left and all that. But a lot of them were getting upset now that it was getting more and more popular. So they were starting to blame like him, like saying, oh, this was like your plan to sort of controversy and stuff. I'm like, but you guys are the ones who decided to make this a thing. I mean, you're getting what you deserve. So stupid.
They did the cancellation. Now they're upset the cancellation is backfiring. I think they're upset that cancellation isn't what it used to be. You know what? Because there's a lot of us now who are willing to say something
Yeah.
in various ways. And there's a lot of people who are not constrained by fear of you bullies anymore, who don't like seeing someone piled on and unfairly called a lynching supporter and a racist and all this stuff. It's disgusting what you're trying to do to him. And so there are people who don't even like country music, not even, old country. There are people who don't like country at all who are buying the song just to support him. And I think that's amazing. So
well, we're seeing more and more actors come out and be outspoken against woke. I think Brian Cox just recently came out and said something. I know Richard Dreyfuss a month or so ago came out and said something. So we're starting to see more and more of them get like brave, because I don't know, maybe it's a sign that the woke stuff is starting to decline, or they're starting to pull back because it's so unpopular. And now more and more people are feeling more brave and comfortable and speaking out against it. I don't know.
I just know it's not having the impact that it once had. And I love that. And you're right. It's so funny that you saw the leftists in the comments being like, you engineered your own cancellation so it'd be popular. Which is really funny because I was joking around with my husband who's a musician today, and I was like, we need to get you canceled. And I've found a way to do it because I just saw this article today. I don't know how old it is, but this is going around. I went to the website. It didn't have a date on it. This is a headline, a real headline. Is coffee racist? How drinking coffee perpetuates white supremacy. And then the subheadline is created by Black people for Black people. And now a pillar.
What?
And now a pillar of white supremacist capitalism. If you consume coffee, you are helping an industry built on racism.
What?
So I was like, Anthony, you drink coffee. This should be easy. We're gonna get
Every morning I wake up, I take a big swig of Folgers coffee in this beautiful white country.
Yeah. Okay. So
How do I get a job writing articles like that? It's so easy. It's making like Mad Libs. Anybody can do it, but I want that job.
oh gosh.
It's so easy.
You could sell
I
out
can make
so
anything
easily.
racist. Anything.
You could sell out so easily.
Yeah.
If you had no scruples.
Yeah.
You don't even like coffee. You could
No,
be
it's
like, that's why.
disgusting.
So you could lie and say that's why I don't drink it because it's.
I don't like chocolate either. Ugh.
I'm having a nice cup of white supremacy right now, even though it's the evening. I needed another cup. Okay, Sue. I love coffee because of that claim. I'm drinking more of it. Yes, you tell them. Hey, Robert, give it up for the mods in the chat. I see a lot of familiar names. Hey, Therese. Robert says, cancel like button, you heathens. Yes. Don't forget to hit like. If you have a second, hit like. It will help us. Okay. We're going to get into this topic. So we're talking about Barbie tonight. We have a lot to cover, the history of Barbie. But first, let's start with speaking of controversies in the media and stuff. You sent me an article about the supposed right-wing backlash to the Barbie movie, which was surprising to me.
Yeah, so Rolling Stone and others are trying to paint this backlash coming from the right. They're trying to, I guess, preempt it because from all the reviews that I haven't actually read the reviews, but just seeing the titles of these professional critics, many of them are saying that it's a feminist movie and they're applauding that and stuff. And so inevitably, there's going to be many of us that are going to label this woke. And so they're trying to get ahead of that and trying to paint anybody opposing this movie because of, those far left ideology stuff being put in it are crazy and yada, yada, yada. So Rolling Stone wrote this whole article, and this gets into people online and even some of the Republicans who have publicly spoken out against this and painting them all as being nuts.
Okay, so this is strange though, because the pulse that I've gotten from the wrong think community online and the people who do cultural commentary podcasts is a lot of them are very excited about this movie. They pre-purchased tickets. They're sharing. I'm in group chats with different YouTubers who the ladies are all planning what pink outfit they're wearing. So I don't. This isn't the what I've seen. It's almost like I was making that joke about how things work in reverse now, and I was like, "Oh, we should get canceled." That it's almost like the mainstream press is now they the they're almost banking on the so-called right wing having a negative reaction so they can do
Mhm.
articles about it. And so even if that negative reaction doesn't exist, they're like, let's make it seem like the right wingers hate it so people will come out
Right.
and support it, right? And I
That's
don't
what it
think
sounds like they're doing here, because
yeah.
I don't think there's that many people who, as of right now, are saying, "Oh, I gotta boycott this movie" and all that. Sure, you can find some, but it doesn't seem like there's a lot, and they're trying to make it seem like all the right wings united in
Yeah, that's
boycotting this
just
movie.
ridiculous. So I even wore pink tonight in honor of Barbie, the Barbie movie coming out, and I'm Cowboy Barbie, like Margot Robbie here. See, okay. The right wing backlash against Barbie is hilariously flopping. That's the headline. From Margot Robbie is mid to complaints about Ken not having balls, they are throwing everything at the wall to see what sticks. Uh, at first blush, it would seem that the right wing would be just as excited as everyone else for the Barbie movie, which opens in wide release this Friday. There is, to be sure, much for conservatives to love. The doll Margot Robbie's character is based on is a white woman who hews to conventional feminine beauty standards. She has no reproductive organs, so she can't have sex out of wedlock or get pregnant, nor does she have any orifices, so both speech and sodomy are out of the question. This person who's writing this, you can tell they already have absolute contempt for, they loathe conservatives,
Yeah.
right? Already. First sentence, it's like, or second sentence, you hate conservatives. We get it. And she's married to a blandly handsome former prom king type who might secretly dream of tipping back vodka sodas at bear night. So he's calling him gay. Okay. At bear night at Flaming Saddles. So there's plenty for conservative ladies in particular to relate to. You're a nasty
What a
person.
dig.
Who
Wow.
wrote this? Dale Robinette. You're nasty, Dale. No. Yet, for whatever reason, attention, clout, a preternatural natural aversion to enjoying things, the right has come out guns blazing in opposition to the Barbie movie, even though it hasn't even been released yet. Unlike many other right-wing hate trains against so-called woke propaganda, which seem far more well-organized, no one can quite get their shit together enough to agree on precisely why they're mad at the Barbie movie. Earlier on in the press cycle, some pundits objected to the casting of transgender actor Hari Neff as Dr. Barbie, with Charlie Kirk calling the trailer the most disgusting thing I've ever seen, and Ben Shapiro referring to the film as a woke bleep show due to Neff writing a letter to director Greta Gerwig advocating for her casting. Others took offense to Barbie actor Simu Liu giving a quote to Screen Rant, praising the film for putting the final nail on the coffin of that very heteronormative idea of what gender is. Ugh,
What does that even mean?
yeah,
Heteronorm I mean, that's referring to sexual orientation, not to gender, but you're just, like,
yeah.
mixing terms together because he's gonna get applause from all of his fellow actors and the activist types. It's so stupid.
Uh, this is not representative of what I've seen. I think this guy's reaching hard to find some conservatives who've criticized it and just trying to make it seem like that's all. I mean, but that's not what the content creators I know are talking about. They're very excited to see this movie.
Mhm.
Maybe they're going to be disappointed. Maybe they will come out of there and say, "Oh my gosh, it was what garbage. That sucks." But right now, people seem hyped about it.
Well, they go on in that article to talk about how I think Ted Cruz tweeted something out, talking about how this film was pushing or propping up China, because apparently there's a scene where they show a map of the South China Sea, and it shows the border of China, including a great deal of that. And there's a dispute between various countries like Vietnam, Philippines, and Taiwan over that territory. And so they here, like you see in that paragraph, conveniently leave out that in Vietnam, they banned Barbie. Barbie just got banned in Vietnam because it shows that China owns that territory, South China Sea, which is under dispute. And so, in order to craft this narrative about being a right-wing backlash and stuff, they had to conveniently leave out how an entire country has banned this movie.
Vietnam has banned it. That would be a better headline, Rolling Stone. Vietnam hates Barbie, the
Yes.
movie, because of Chinese propaganda in the film. That would be more interesting. Well, okay. I'm done with that. So that's what supposedly is in store for us with this movie coming out. Supposedly right wingers. I put that word in quotes because that word doesn't, like a lot of words that the left is overused and used incorrectly. I don't even know what that phrase means anymore. But supposedly right wingers don't don't like the movie.
It's just a catch-all term. It sounds scary. Right wing.
Yeah.
You never
Right.
hear the term left wing used ever.
Yeah. I've got something interesting to show you. So you may have come across this in your research. I didn't see it on your list of links, but so Barbie, of course, was created by Mattel's founders. It was a husband and wife in 1959, and many people don't know, but Barbie was based on a German doll called Lily. Did you come across this when you were reading stuff?
Yeah, I think I did
Okay,
put that in my link.
okay. So Lily wasn't a kid's toy though. Lily was a high-end call girl doll that was made. It was like an adult novelty toy in Germany that came out of a comic book strip. So I'll show you some of this because it's kind of interesting. She looks exactly the first Barbie looked almost exactly like Lily. So when the handlers were on a trip to Germany in the 50s, they came across these Lily dolls and they brought some of them home and brought one home for their daughter and they started fiddling with it, changing it a little bit, and they ended up creating Barbie. And then they bought the rights to the German doll so they could copy it essentially. But this was the original comic strip, and you can see here that Lily was a call girl, and she was not a toy for little girls. They ended up making, you can see there, they ended up making this 3D version of the doll based on the character in the comic strip. So it was a 1940s cartoon character called Bill Lilly.
I'm surprised Mattel hasn't brought this back as a new version of Barbie, a sex positive Barbie.
Yeah, now that they're like so woke, that I am a little surprised because they go with the flow with like whatever culture's doing, they're here for it. So it says the comic strip character known as Bill Lilly was a post-war gold-digging buxom broad who got by in life by seducing wealthy male suitors. Hold on one second. Tiger does not like this part of the show. Tiger, come here. Come here. Come over here. Oh, it's because my husband's home. That's why. Sorry about that, guys. So here she is seducing all these wealthy suitors. And it says she was famously quick-witted and known to talk back when it came to male authority. In one cartoon, Lily is warned by a policeman for illegally wearing a bikini out on the sidewalk, and Lily responds, "Oh, and in your opinion, what part should I take off?"
Yeah.
Which reminds me of Chrissy Mayer and Keanu when they on the Southwest flight when they were told they had to change clothes before they could board the flight. That was in the news. That was crazy. They're like, "Okay, we'll take this off." She became so popular that in 1953, the newspaper decided to market a three-dimensional version of this Lily character, which was sold as an adult novelty toy available to buy from bars, tobacco kiosks, and adult toy stores. They were often given out as bachelor party gag gifts and dangled from cars' rearview mirrors. You can see
So
here,
weird.
yeah, like an old picture of pilots in the cockpit, and look, there's a little Lily doll sitting there. So this was something that men would, I guess, keep around. Ring in the new year with Lily. Parents considered the doll inappropriate for children, and a German brochure from the 50s described her as always discreet. And with her impressive wardrobe, she was, quote, the star of every bar. And so then you've got here Ruth Handler, one of the founders of Mattel. And look at here at the bottom. Look how similar. On the left, you've got two different versions of Lily. And on the right, you've got one of the first two versions of Barbie, which almost exactly, from the eyes, the shape of the doll, the body, the characteristics of wearing a bathing suit, just so similar. Mattel acquired the rights to build Lily in 1964, and production of the German doll ceased. So actually, that's interesting because they put Barbie out in 1959. So they just absolutely ripped this off without having the rights to it until the 64. Then they went ahead and took care of that by buying the rights to it. And then you can see here some of the artwork, very similar. Lily on the left, Barbie on the right. And interestingly enough, when the first Barbie debuted, that is the first Barbie there on the right in the black and white bathing suit. And the handlers said she was inspired by the Lily doll. I mean, pretty blatant ripoff, but inspired by the Lily doll, and also movie stars at the time like Marilyn Monroe and Audrey Hepburn. And when the doll came out, though, there was a little bit of controversy. Even at the very beginning of Barbie's history, there was some controversy with some parents saying this doll is not appropriate for kids, that it's too, mature. She's wearing a bathing suit. She's her first career as Barbie was a teen model. And they were like, she's just a little not age appropriate for like at the time, the dolls that were popular were more like baby dolls and stuff. And so then you have this aspirational figure that's being marketed to little kids. So there was a bit of controversy at the beginning. Little did they know maybe that, she was based on a sex doll. So there you go. That was the beginning of Barbie.
Scandalous.
Scandalous, right? Did you guys know this in the chat? Did you know where Barbie came from? Lily? Was it inflatable? This is Ellen Scott.
I was about to say, did they have a life-size version?
No. So Hooker Barbie was the original. Apparently. Yeah. Yeah, that's where she came from. Okay. So then you've got this article on the history of Barbie. Should I pull that up, or should we watch the first ever Barbie commercial?
Let's throw in a video. Let's watch the first commercial and then hit that article. And this is the very first video. I think it's 1958, I think.
Wow.
Yeah. So
1959. This is the year that Barbie came out.
Barbie, you're beautiful. You make me feel my Barbie doll is really real. Barbie's small and so petite. Her clothes and figure look so neat. Her dancing outfit rings the bell. At parties she will cast a spell. Purses, hats, and gloves below, and all the gadgets gals adore.
Barbie dressed for swimmin' fun is only $3. Her lovely fashions range from $1 to $5. Look for Barbie wherever dolls are sold.
Someday I'm gonna be exactly like you. Till then I know just what I'll do. Barbie, beautiful Barbie, I'll make believe that I am you.
You can tell it's Mattel. It's swell.
It is so aspirational. It's very different from having a baby doll, right?
Mm-hmm. And she's getting married in it. Something that Barbie doesn't do anymore. Doesn't get married, doesn't have kids.
Yeah. It's very much, for little girls to say. I mean, they even say in the song, "One day I'll grow up to be like you." It's not having a baby doll to take care of, which a lot of girls will play house with a baby doll. It was very different. It was, no, this is a doll of who you will be. Like, imagine yourself in the future as this doll.
And that's what interests me about this movie coming out, the Barbie movie, because I've been curious to see how they're going to portray Barbie in this, because I know there's been a push to kind of sort of defeminize her to a degree and push her into other areas that defy the traditional gender roles. And so I was curious if this movie is going to do that, which apparently it seems like it does based on some of these reviews coming out. And so I just thought it's odd that they start out with such a traditional view of women being like very pink, very feminine, and something's going to happen in that movie because all these reviews are coming out saying that this defies the traditional gender roles and all that. So it's going to be interesting.
That is, oh gosh, I do hope it's not a, I don't need no man.
That's what I think it's going to do. I think it is. We'll see.
Okay, so in 1961, we get the first Ken doll commercial. Let's watch this one. Barbie's first boyfriend.
It all started at the dance. Barbie, the famous teenage fashion model doll by Mattel, felt that this was to be a special night. And then it happened. She met Ken. And somehow she knew that she and Ken would be going together. So now Mattel brings you Ken, Barbie's boyfriend, with a complete wardrobe of perfectly tailored clothes of unmatched quality. Now Ken and Barbie meet for lunch at school, go to fraternity parties, and just relax together. Think of the fun you'll have taking Barbie and Ken on dates, dressing each one just right. You'll find Ken wherever toys are sold. Look for this special tag that tells you he's the genuine Ken. Get both.
For the tag that tells you that he's totally not gay.
Don't get the counterfeit Ken. Look at the way they did the first Ken, his face and his hair, because I got to show you something after this.
And see where the romance will lead. It could lead to this. And remember, you can tell it's Mattel. It's well.
Okay, so I showed you this a couple years ago, I think, because you mentioned it and reminded me. When we were growing up, we had our aunt's Barbie dream house. It was a hand-me-down. So we didn't have, even though I grew up in the 80s, we didn't have the new plastic, like that 1980s version of Barbies. We had this vintage cardboard Barbie dream house, which I ended up selling on Etsy a couple years ago. Before I sold it, I took these photos of it. Can you guys see this? This was rad. It had a lot of the original furniture in it. So the whole thing was cardboard, and it folded up into a carrying case. And it had like this cardboard television stereo set there on the left with little cardboard records, and it had, cardboard sofa, table, books for a bookshelf, and like a makeup table. And then it had this cardboard picture of Ken. You see that picture of Ken sitting on the...
It's so creepy looking. I see you, Bobby. Everywhere you go, how do them.
Isn't that weird? And as a little kid in the 80s, I was like, who is this woman? Because he looked... I didn't realize it was Ken. Yeah, look at he's like wearing lipstick and eye makeup.
And even make like a Barbie toy that turns into Ken, transitions into Ken.
There you can see the inside. And then we added things over the years, like some of these things, like there's a little stove thing on the bottom right towards the front that didn't come with it. I don't know where I got that. Like little things we added, but in general, it still had over there in the bottom left corner, you can see the cardboard trash can, and this was the dream house.
Amazes me how long or how far toys have come from like cardboard sets to like these giant plastic sets. I'm like,
yeah,
quite crazy.
Yeah, and people used to see there when you fold it all up, then you could carry it around like that. If you're going to a friend's house to take it with you, you know. Of course, all at that time, being a young kid and having something so cool, I don't think we thought it was cool. We got to play with it, but you know, you take this to a friend's house and they're like, "What is this? This isn't Barbie's dream house." In the 80s. They're like,
It's like, don't leave it outside.
right.
Suck. Get a new one.
Okay.
Those toys are expensive too. I had a friend when his grandmother passed. We were going through some of her stuff, and she had some original Barbies from like the 50s. They didn't have any clothes, or they were just pretty kind of torn up a little bit. But he sold each one for over 2,000 each.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's amazing what some of those things are worth, and then you've got other things that aren't worth anything at all that people thought would be like, oh, this is going to be worth a lot of money, and you know, that's amazing. Okay, well, that was Barbie. We saw Barbie and Ken, the first commercials. We saw them in the 60s. 1959 is when Barbie came out, remember? So she only had like 1 year in the 50s. In the 60s, there were a lot of changes. At the beginning of the 60s, there was a period where she had like a short bob. And that was kind of popular at the time, and so she went through that phase. She also went through the mod phase in the 60s where she suddenly got like super straightened blonde hair, like Twiggy almost. And she had one of the first things that I saw that I thought you might find to be controversial or funny. I don't know if you saw this in your research. Was there is disagreement over when her first Black friend arrived. So her in the 60s, we saw them debut not just Ken, but Barbie's little sister Skipper and her best friend Midge. And then in 1967, they put out a Barbie called Colored Francie. Did you come across
Colored, wait, what? Record scratch? What?
Yes. Here we go. Here's some pictures of Francie. So I'll put this on the screen. So Colored Francie was 1967, and this was Barbie's friend. And that's what they called her. And you know, that would today obviously not go over well at all. But a lot of the people who go through like the history of Barbie, they're like, technically they don't call this the first Black Barbie or the first, you know, Barbie's first Black friend, because they used the same doll mold that they used for Barbie. So they said her features were too Caucasian. So even though she had a darker skin tone, they didn't truly consider her African American. Like maybe she was from France or something. I don't know. Like she was. They were like, she's not Black, which is weird because look at her. She's clearly a Black Barbie. So that was Colored Francie, and they discontinued her pretty quickly. Then they brought her back again, obviously not calling her that. They just called her Francie. Like they gave her a last name and everything. They brought her back again at some point. But that was her, down the memory hole with her for the most part. In 1968, a year later, they came out with Christy. Now, this is the one that most people know. And she's the one that often gets called, you know, the first Black Barbie. And I'll show you images of Christy. They used a different mold for this doll than for the main Barbie doll. So the features were different. And that's why a lot of people consider this one to be more of like, you know, the first Black Barbie doll.
I always hated when I was a kid and I got like a black toy and it's clearly like just a white toy that was painted black. Like the hair texture was like the same. I'm like, come on now.
They're saving on money. Yeah. So this is Christy, and you can see it's really different than Francie.
This one has attitude.
She does. She does. Okay. And there were a couple of. Do you want me to pull up the history of Barbies or go through?
Sure, you can go through some of it. I mean, it covers some of the stuff you just spoke about, but there's some other things in there as well.
I was looking at a lot of the controversies, so I have a lot of those queued up. And I'll just why don't we take your article as an outline, and then I can interject with some of the stuff I found.
All right, that sounds good.
Okay, cool.
Because they expanded this line, no pun intended, to a lot of different areas that I had no idea.
Okay. So this is an article on SCMP called How Barbie Became the World's Most Popular Doll. It had poor sales at the start and was criticized by feminists in the 1970s, but now it's made billions, and Margot Robbie will play her in a new film. And then they have a couple of bullet points here. Ruth Handler was not taken seriously when she came up with the idea of Barbie in the 50s, inspired by a German sex toy. Oh, I'm shocked they included that. But sales took off after she aired an ad on Disney's The Mickey Mouse Club. By 2009, more than 1 billion Barbies had been sold worldwide, and 9 out of 10 American girls owned one, and they had been on the market long enough to become collector's pieces. Should I just read some of this?
Yeah.
Okay. Ruth Handler, the brains behind Barbie, had an idea in the 1950s. She wanted to show girls that they could be anything they wanted to be. So she found a hooker doll. No, the American businesswoman saw this opportunity as a gap in the toy market at the time and decided to launch a doll for girls that wasn't a baby, but a woman with a woman's body, a job, and later a boyfriend. After being warned it was a bad idea and that no one would buy it, Barbie was a huge hit. Mattel, Handler's toy company, went on to make billions of dollars off the doll. In the 1970s, Barbie became a symbol that feminists hated for creating unrealistic ideas about bodies, upholding gender stereotypes, and whitewashing ideas about beauty. Okay.
Right on cue.
But she kept selling and remains the most popular doll in the world. In July, the highly anticipated Barbie film, directed by Greta Gerwig and starring Margot Robbie as the titular character, will be released. Here's how Barbie took over the world. So they talk about how in the 1950s it started with Ruth Handler. In the 50s, Ruth Handler, part owner of a toy company called Mattel, noticed her daughter preferred to play with adult paper dolls instead of her plastic baby dolls. She saw a gap in the market. She realized that, quote, little girls just want to be bigger girls, end quote. But during a trip to Switzerland in 1956, she had an idea for how to replace it when she discovered a German sex toy called Build Lily. So there's
Whoa.
that's the Lily doll we talked about. She was for adults and was sold in bars and sex shops, but Handler didn't care where Build Lily came from. She was inspired. So she bought 3 of the dolls, then hunted for a Japanese manufacturer to create a similar product for the US market. She decided her doll would have less dramatic curves and lose the heavy makeup. No, it looked pretty similar. The eye makeup was pretty much the same. You lose that heavy makeup and exaggerated lips, but she had to convince Mattel's designers, who argued that the intricate clothing and plastic figure would be too expensive, as well as her husband Elliot, who simply doubted that anyone would buy it. Handler's husband said to her, "No mother is ever going to buy her daughter a doll with breasts." But she had a vision. She said she wanted to create a doll that would let young girls dream about their own future rather than having to dream about their baby's future. This is exactly what we were talking about. Referring to the idea of a young girl playing with Barbie, she said if she was going to do role playing of what she would be like when she was 16 or 17, it was a little stupid to play with a doll that had a flat chest, so I gave it beautiful breasts. The first Barbie debuted in 1959. This is the one we've looked at and we saw the ad for, who looks very much like Lily, the Lily doll. In 1959, the first Barbie debuted in the American Toy Fair in New York. She was young, had blonde hair, and worked as a fashion model. But wholesalers, primarily men, were not keen on stocking Barbie. At least half of them wanted nothing to do with the product, although she did get a few orders. One buyer told her, "Ruth, little girls want baby dolls. They want to pretend to be mommies." So Handler turned to a branding expert and psychologist named Ernest Dichter, who analyzed why people bought things. He interviewed 45 mothers and 191 girls. He found mothers hated Barbie and girls loved it. His advice was, along with enlarging the breast, to promise mothers that Barbie would show their daughters how to become a poised little lady. Handler took his advice straight to TV. She advertised Barbie on Disney's The Mickey Mouse Club in an ad where the dolls looked like real models, symbolizing what girls could grow up to be. And that's that commercial that we just watched. Later that summer, after the ad had aired, Barbie became a hit. Mattel couldn't fulfill the demand. In the first year alone, it sold 350,000 Barbies. As Barbie's popularity grew, Mattel released new dolls, new clothes, and a range of haircuts, including one modeled after First Lady Jacqueline Kennedy after former President John F. Kennedy was assassinated. That's the bob cut I mentioned that they gave Barbie in the early 60s. They said it was modeled after Jackie O. According to Paul Mullins, an anthropology professor at Indiana University, Purdue University, and Indianapolis, the first 5 years were actually some of Barbie's most progressive years. Instead of housework, she was independent, working as a nurse, an American Airlines steward, or a ballerina. Introducing Ken in 1961. In 1961, Mattel released the Ken doll after fans begged for Barbie to have a boyfriend. Handler made sure Ken was never the husband and only the boyfriend. His role was to be a sidekick. Even so, during the 60s, Ken became more dominant. He got a number of different careers, including surfer and football player, while Barbie became more domestic. Notably, in 1965, Slumber Party Barbie came with a diet book that only had one instruction: don't eat. Okay, let me pause it here.
Wise words.
This is one of the controversies that I saw. Yeah. So there were two controversial Barbies in the 60s. One was Slumber Party Barbie and one was Babysitting Barbie. And let me just show you. Let's see if I have this. I think this will work.
Slumber Party Barbie.
Can you guys see that? No,
nothing showing. Oh wait, here we go.
Okay, there on the right is a picture of Babysitting Barbie. But actually, so in researching this, so some people say that Babysitting Barbie came with this book, and other people say that Slumber Party Barbie came with this book. I think probably both Barbies had this book. And if you go back and you look at the packages of the accessories for each doll, there are different books in there. So I think they both had it. So it was a book called How to Lose Weight. And on the back, there was only one page of the book. It said, don't eat.
It's so based.
And so people were saying this is causing unhealthy, beauty standards for women. Obviously, you're telling women not to eat. Here, I've got another picture to show you. Did you not come across this one?
No, I didn't. I didn't see the don't eat one. I want that to be an actual book. One-page book that just says don't eat.
So Slumber Party Barbie was at around the same time. And Slumber Party Barbie and Babysitting Barbie. And they supposedly both had the book. But here's something else that Slumber Party Barbie had, which people didn't like. One of the accessories she came with was this scale, this floor scale that you step on to weigh yourself. And it was permanently set at 110 pounds. And so people didn't like that either. They were like, feminists, and they were like, unnatural beauty standards. So there.
What do you think about that argument?
I mean, they have a point. I'm not so sometimes there's a danger when critiquing woke, my old ideology of just sort of knee-jerk. I see some people knee-jerk react to everything and never admit that there are any valid points from that side, like when you view it as this tribalistic thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that would be wrong of me to pretend like that there was nothing to this. Of course, at the time, it was society, from what I've read about it in the 60s, was very much about, women being very slender. And in another way, though, it's kind of tongue in cheek about it's kind of How to Lose Weight book, don't eat. It's kind of funny. But for children, is it funny? Probably not. Mm-hmm. Like for adults, sure. If it were a toy for adults, it's kind of funny. But you're giving that to a little girl.
People back then either compared to today. I think there's stuff in the food and everything that's kind of changed that. So back then in that context, I don't think it would have the same impact or meaning that it does to people now in today's context.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is going to be a recurring theme as we look through the history of Barbie. It's one of the biggest controversies, or the biggest criticisms, I should say, culturally, is that she as a doll, the doll, continually faced criticism for pushing unrealistic body size and beauty standards.
What about
And
unrealistic head sizes? Look at that head.
right, or eye
It's
size.
huge.
It's not like every doll is meant to be realistic, you know? That's my response to that. Like, we buy other, I mean, My Little Ponies are not even people. And they have, they talk and everything, like Care Bears and stuff. It's not this doll. I don't know. I put more credence in the argument that that book was quote unquote problematic, to use one of their words. Don't eat the yes, maybe. But the idea that Barbie herself, oh, there's something wrong about her being proportioned in this way. It's like, she's a doll, she's not meant to be built based on like perfectly representing the average body size of women. And by the way, we live in a society now where you're telling me that men are women, so anything goes. Like, you guys are, on the one hand, in the 90s and 2000s, like, you need to be 100% accurate to women's average body size and weight. And now you're like, men can be women. So what is average? That's kind of what I think about that. Okay, let's go back to your piece.
Back to that.
So we were talking about Slumber Party Barbie. We stopped to look at the book. Barbie led the way at times too. In 1965, Barbie the Astronaut was released, 4 years before Neil Armstrong walked on the moon. And by 1968, Mattel had made $500 million in Barbie sales. So yeah, Barbie was an astronaut in the 60s. I mean, she was doing jobs back then. There she is. Astronaut Barbie.
She has oven mitts on. Gotta cook that food on the moon for your husband.
The tide began to change in 1968 when 400 women picketed the beauty pageant Miss America. They were protesting how the pageant perpetuated an obsession with looks, and Barbie got pulled into the fight. And so here we go, a clash with feminists in the 1970s. According to The Conversation, Barbie had everything, and this unattainable perfection was damaging to young girls. During a women's strike in New York in 1970s, marchers chanted, "I am not a Barbie doll." Later, in a documentary called Tiny Shoulders, feminist and activist Gloria Steinem noted, quote, "She was everything we didn't want to be."
So
What?
because she wasn't a CIA asset, that's why.
Is that a joke about Gloria Steinem?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I've never heard that
Really?
conspiracy theory.
It's not a theory. You can look it up.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
Jamie, pull it up.
I can't get sidetracked right now. Oh my goodness. No, I've never heard that.
Yeah.
I'll have to look that up. Oh my gosh. Okay. If she was a real woman, her proportions would translate to 39, 21, 33. Some researchers found that a real life Barbie would be so unbalanced that she couldn't stand, while another researcher calculated it was possible for a woman to have the same figure as Barbie, but the chances were less than 1 in 100,000. In response to a complaint in the New York Times in 1963 about Ken's department store dummy look, a spokesperson for Mattel said that the dolls had never been designed for education or to be scale models. Yeah, exactly. They're not. It's not like this is the first perfectly, proportionately accurate doll. That's not how it was marketed. Barbie sales fell for the first time in 1972. At the time Mattel released the first Barbie, the 1971 Malibu Barbie, that stared outward rather than gazed down. Oh, that was the other thing. Okay, so if you go back and look at those early Barbies, the one here we were looking at, the feminists did not like that. Look how her eyes are staring off to the side. They were talking about how, and they wrote lots about how she was an object and not the subject of her own destiny, because her eyes were off to the side and she was never looking straight at you. This is real. This was a real criticism.
Of course it was.
And they didn't like that all through the 60s her eyes were off to the side.
What?
So I forgot about that. So that's interesting. They're talking about that here. When they first did Malibu Barbie, I think was the first one where she's looking straight ahead. Yeah, that her eyes stared outward rather than gazed down, meaning she went from being an object to a subject.
So stupid.
Subject of her own life. And soon Barbie was appearing in more serious roles. She was a pilot in the 70s. She was a pilot, a surgeon, and a CEO. But other Barbies still came with many domestic machinery like washing machines and dryers. Why? Even without Handel at the helm, Mattel tried to diversify. In 1980, the company released the first black Barbie. No, that's not true. We saw that. Oh, maybe they mean Barbie herself was black. Yeah, that's true. That is true. So 1967 was Colored Francie and 1968 was Christy, but those were Barbie's friends. So 1980 was the first black Barbie. Her tagline was, "She's black, she's beautiful, she's dynamite."
And she will cut you.
It's so pander. It's like such a white person imagining what do black people like,
Yeah.
and they like watch too many Good Times episodes.
Yeah. What if she would say jive turkey? Yeah, that's good too.
She's dynamite. Oh my goodness. Okay.
So she's just putting on blackface? Like, how is she just black all of a sudden? I guess it's like a precursor to what's going on in Hollywood right now. Just change white characters. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, they just made her black. Wait, here she is. This is the 1980 first black Barbie. Oh wow, wait till you see this. She's dynamite.
Oh wow.
Actually, she's kind of cute. Look at that hairstyle.
It's Whitney Houston hair there.
Yeah. I think my mom had a dress like this in the 80s. The red disco clothes. See that? She's dynamite. Okay.
Black women look nothing like that anymore.
Look, as you mentioned, the society as a whole has put on a lot of weight since the 60s, 70s, 80s. Okay, let's go back to your article. What was the most shocking thing you learned? Is it coming up?
Okay.
Yeah.
They start to diversify even more.
Okay. Okay, we got through all of this. We got how they plummeted. Okay, then the first Black Barbie. Throughout the 1980s and 90s, the sales had held while criticisms about Barbie and her impact on girls rose and fell. In 1989 alone, 22 million Barbies were sold globally. But by the 90s, Barbie dolls appeared to be everywhere. They had been on the market long enough to become collector's pieces. There were also limited edition releases. By 2009, more than 1 billion Barbies have been sold worldwide, and 9 out of 10 American girls owned a Barbie.
Damn.
Yeah, what I read was 92% of all girls have owned a Barbie. But market saturation brought its own issues. Barbies were not the only option anymore. Competition and more diverse Barbies. Here come the Bratz dolls.
It looks like the female version of the Village People.
Yes. Remember the Bratz dolls when they first came out? Barbie had to compete against new dolls like Bratz or the Disney princess dolls. Yeah, the Elsa from the movie Frozen, for example, the Elsa alone, I read somewhere, put a $500 million dent in Barbie's profits, where little girls were choosing the Elsa doll over Barbies. This showed in Mattel's sales, which dropped by 20% between 2012 and 2014. Oh, one of the controversial Barbies that I wanted to show you happened before we just now got up to 2012, right? Let me backtrack just for a second because I want to show you there was another controversy that happened when Barbie's friend Midge, who always seemed a little young, but she got married and she had a family. And let me make sure I've got the right link here. Sorry, I've got a lot of links open. She got married and had a baby, and then they put a little plastic baby doll inside of her. Did you see this one?
I don't think so.
Okay. Oh no. I've got to find. I'm
You
so
said she was a
sorry.
little young. Like, how young are we talking about? I don't know.
Well, she still looked young, and so that's what caused the controversy because people were like, "Is this promoting teen pregnancy?" Okay.
So it could have been a doll for Teen Mom.
Yes.
Surprised MTV hasn't merchandised off of Teen Mom somehow. Maybe they have. I don't know.
Oh, they probably have. Okay, here she is. Teen Mom, by the way, is one of the things we got copyright strike for. You almost cannot even mention that.
Oh no.
Okay, can you guys see this one? I'll try to make it larger.
Ugh.
I'm sorry it took me a second to find it.
Looks like looks like from Total Recall. Open
Yeah.
your mind.
Yeah, isn't that creepy? This was Barbie's friend Midge, and again, this is after she got married and had kids, and they put out this doll where you could take the baby out of her belly, and there it is upside down inside of her. And look at what they say on this particular piece. They say, in this nightmare incarnation of Midge, she, she she's pregnant. People said that Midge was too young to be pregnant, and the doll might encourage teen pregnancy. So that was the criticism. They eventually pulled pregnant Midge. But yeah, I mean, they had a lot of misfires. I just imagine what it's like to be in the room where you're throwing things at the wall and you're like, what about doing a pregnant Barbie's friend is pregnant? See, she was shorter than Barbie. I think that's why she seemed younger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So creepy though. I don't like it.
What was the creepiest thing that you found?
The creepiest one?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's so much creepy. It's just getting kind of weird. So it starts getting into like gender non-conforming Barbie, and I forget if the article that we were reading from has that in it, or one of the other articles I pulled has that in it.
We're gonna get to that in a second then, if that's the one. There was one other from this time period I wanted to show you. Oh, these were some of the most controversial. This one, Oreo Barbie.
What? No. No.
Oh, I'm so glad. By the way, Kevin Anderson says, don't they focus group this stuff? Yeah, actually, so I have a couple friends who work at Mattel, and when I lived in LA, this is when I was close with some of these friends. One of them, her job is she's in the psychology department there. Her job is she sets up these experiments and they bring in kids, and they have a double-sided mirror, and she watches the kids play with different dolls and records their reactions and stuff. They do test all this stuff. I guess maybe they just don't think about how when they put it out there and they say this is Oreo Barbie.
I want that. I'm gonna get that.
And it's a black Barbie. It says the Oreo Barbie resulted from a partnership with Oreo cookies. But when Mattel released a black version of the doll, people quickly brought up the fact that Oreo can be a derogatory term for a black person who acts white. They just didn't think it through.
Or maybe they did.
Teen Talk Barbie. Okay, this was one of the other ones that I think this was the 90s. Since we're hitting up to the 2000s now, I want to go back in time and just hit on some of these I didn't get to. Teen Talk Barbie was a very controversial one, and I'm sure those of you who were around in the 90s, even if you're not a girl, even if you didn't have a Barbie, you heard about this one because she was programmed to say a certain number of phrases. and feminists got very upset. I remember being one of those feminists who got very upset because she was programmed to say things like, I love shopping and math class is tough. Math class is tough. Will we ever have enough clothes? And so they
The
said this,
Clueless Barbie, right?
yeah,
That's
the
cool.
clueless Barbie, and that this was sexist, and you can see here they say Mattel has since taken that phrase "math class is tough" out of Teen Barbie's lexicon. Teen Talk Barbie. But the whole premise of Teen Talk Barbie was she was supposed to talk like a teenage girl, and look at the way she's dressed. This was like in the era of Blossom and gosh, what was that popular show at the time? She's reminding me of the fashion of that show, but
Clarissa Explains It All.
yeah. Okay, this was the one I was looking for. Do you remember this one?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so this is when they were trying 1996, they were trying to get, again, they were always having criticisms that they perpetuated stereotypes about women, that they showed an unrealistic body standard, and that they weren't diverse enough. And so they were always doing these gimmicky things. So they released their first Barbie's first friend in a wheelchair, and she was called Share a Smile Becky. And this is her, and people made so much fun of her, and also a lot of people who were handicapped who saw Share a Smile Becky felt like they were being pandered to, and there was a lot of criticism from that world. And somebody also noticed that Becky's wheelchair would not fit in the elevator at Barbie's dream house.
Lawsuit.
So that was a big controversy because they hadn't really thought it through. It's like, oh, well, she's her friend, but I guess you can't go upstairs with Barbie, huh? So she's a first floor friend. So it's like, even when they were trying, they would get a lot of criticism from the very people they were trying to pander to, which I think is kind of funny. Yeah. Okay. I think that's most of the ones from the 2000s and stuff that I wanted to look at. There were a few others. Oh wait, this one more here. Mexican Barbie. This one's kind of like when they did the first Black Barbie and they said she's dynamite. This is sort of a white person's interpretation of like, how can we make a popular Mexican Barbie?
Does she have little tacos that she can
Well, it says, unfortunately, Mattel's interpretation of Mexico, a fiesta dress and a pink passport and a chihuahua, was more stereotypical than authentic. Eventually, they reissued Mexican Barbie wearing a mariachi outfit. And so you can see her there. She's got a little chihuahua under her arm. It looks like Tiger. See that?
And bad. That's positive.
Yeah. And then she says, but again, the people you're pandering to, of course, are the very same people who are going to get upset by this. So it's like, they're putting this out and they're like, please like us. We're going to do a Mexican Barbie. And people are like, this is a racist stereotype. How dare you? And they have her here on the right saying, welcome to Mexico. Hola. Okay. These are some of the funny ones.
So dumb. So bad for Mattel, because it's like, if you're in charge of developing new Barbie lines, like, the common sense would be to try to branch out and do these type of things. But like you said, they're damned if they do, damned if they don't on any of these things. And so even though some of them, even if I don't quite agree with some of the stuff they're doing, still, just to me, it seems like, well, what else are you going to do with a toy line that's existed for 60 years?
Yeah. So I want to go back to your article, but there's also something that happened around this time. Since we're getting into the 2000s, 2014, they were facing all this criticism all the time about how they weren't, Barbie was promoting unrealistic body image. So in 2014, there was a lot of buzz around this. This was not Mattel. This was an independent person, a toy creator who launched, I think it was a Kickstarter, trying to raise money for an average Barbie doll and got a lot of press in the woke world. I remember I was still squarely in the woke world at the time. I remember seeing this. I probably even shared it. Like, this is amazing. And so this designer put out this doll and called it an average Barbie or a normal Barbie. And it says this normal Barbie has the proportions of an average American 19-year-old. Average is beautiful, says designer Nicolay Lamb, who created a quote normal Barbie using the average proportions of a 19-year-old woman. He is now trying to sell 5,000 of the dolls through a crowdfunding site. So they have a picture of like a regular Barbie here. And then this is his Barbie. Why are you laughing?
No reason.
Now, again, think about this doll and why the psychology of why little girls are buying it. We noticed it in that first commercial, and then Ruth Handler said as much in some of the excerpts of interviews you read. Little girls are buying this because it's an aspirational toy, Barbie. It's what they're fantasizing their future might look like. They're role playing with the doll, getting married or becoming a veterinarian, or, you know, whichever doll they buy and whatever fantasy they have in the future. Maybe they have a pregnant Midge doll and have a baby, what have you. But it's aspirational. And this guy misses the point entirely, I think, by saying, oh, no, what little girls want is, you know, this average, accurate, proportionally accurate doll that looks just like most average 19-year-olds. And I just don't think that's it. I think this is pushing something on little girls that they're not necessarily looking for. So
That's
this
the
was,
thing with boys' toys and
yeah.
comic books. I mean, it's aspirational to see some dude like Wolverine who's jacked, but if you just made him like a normal flabby guy, I mean,
Yeah. And I think this is the beginning of what we see now in all the stores. You know, one of my biggest pet peeves I've talked about before on this show with you is if you go into a Target now, or even a Victoria's Secret, which is all about aspirational fantasy of getting to that, you know, your ideal body weight. And even Victoria's Secret now, they have the fat mannequins. And so it's,
really?
yes, it's gone beyond average size to just full on, like, let's just get a fat mannequin in here. Let's show people what we all really look like and and I'm like, no, because you know what? When I go to buy clothes, I don't want to buy clothes that don't fit me yet. I'm not one of those crazy people that are like, I'm going to buy this and then lose the weight to get into it. I don't do that. I buy clothes that fit me. But when I'm looking around at the way things look on, you know, it inspires you to see something that looks really nice on, like, oh, I might need to lose some weight, or I could take better care of myself if I want to do that, wear that, you know, hike this mountain, do this thing. And now when we look around, they're sort of like, you know, don't worry about improving yourself. We got you. We're going to show you some fat models, like, you know, just be you. And I don't like it. I think it affects the way we think about ourselves and what we could be in a negative way. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Kind
Yeah,
of
that
ran.
makes
I'm
yeah,
kind of
yeah.
thinking through this. The opposite's true too. If all you ever see is emaciated figures, like in the fashion world, for the longest time, it was just really anorexic, like women with an eating disorder. That's not healthy either. That's an extreme, but I don't know. I think this average Barbie thing is part of, like, let's just make everything mediocre. And yeah, I don't know.
I wonder if Victoria's Secrets saw their sales go down when they started doing that. Because that'd be more like a turn off. Like, if, you know, like you said, people going into Victoria's Secrets to look for lingerie that's on a model that looks really good, that encourages you to buy. It's like, oh, maybe I could look like that. But you
Yeah.
just see like an overweight model, you're like, oh, that's what it looks like. I know. No, thank you.
Yeah, I don't know. I do know that sometimes when I walk in Target or a place that has those like overweight mannequins, I'm like, I'm thinking of leaving. So based on that 2014, all the buzz that was created by that independent toy maker putting out the average size body of in a Barbie, a Barbie wasn't really a Barbie, but based on all of that, in 2016, so 2 years later, Mattel responds by launching some different body shapes for Barbie and different skin tones. So they launched this line called The Doll Evolves. This was in 2016. And this is an article from the International Business Times. Barbie, the doll evolves as Mattel launches figure with different skin tones and body types. Barbie owner Mattel has given in to years of criticism about the doll's looks and launched a new line of Barbies with different body types and skin tones. The iconic doll will hit the shelves in different shapes, from original to petite and from tall to curvy. Barbie will also be available in 7 different skin tones in an attempt by Mattel to make the doll more diverse and reach out to a wider audience. Quote, this is 2016, remember? This is when social justice was breaking into the mainstream. They even use the word here. Look, quote, we were seeing that millennials are driven by social justice and attracted to brands with purpose and values. And they did not see Barbie in this category. Tanya Masad, the head of global brand insights at Mattel, told the Telegraph. There will be people who say we haven't gone far enough, or people who ask what's next, or question our commitment to this. Barbie is a lightning rod for conversation, and of course, there will be a backlash. So here's some of the different sizes and races that came out in this 2016 line.
Where's the black fat one?
It's,
They need to do one that you turn around, it starts like twerking. It's accurate.
I'm sure it's in the pipeline.
They're gonna have like a toy set of like McDonald's lobby or Burger King lobby that you can take the black one in and she can twerk in the middle of the lobby.
No, stop. You should just
I want the
work for
job.
Mattel.
Mattel. Give me that job, Mattel. Please.
With her long blonde hair and blue eyes, the doll received a lot of scrutiny because of its allegedly narrow definition of femininity and feminine beauty. Mattel had made little changes to the doll since its launch in 1959. It says here the head of the Barbie brand even received hate mail and death threats over Barbie's body in the past. Are you telling me that leftists send hate mail and do death threats? No.
That was the only right wing. Oh.
Mattel's doll was slowly losing its appeal to girls and parents. Lego's new products aimed at girls caused the Danish brick company to take over from Mattel as the biggest toy seller in 2014, while the new Elsa doll from Disney hit the Disney hit movie Frozen beat Barbie as the most popular doll that year. Yeah, Elsa put a huge dent in their profit margin. In 2014, Mattel launched the entrepreneur Barbie as a veterinarian, a football coach, an astronaut, and a businesswoman. Mattel said its new line hopes to make Barbie more appealing to millennial women, which it sees as a future customer. For more than 55 years, Barbie has been a global cultural icon and a source of inspiration and imagination to millions of girls around the world, said Richard Dixon, president and chief operating officer of Mattel. Her ability to evolve and grow with the times while staying true to her spirit is central to why Barbie is the #1 fashion doll in the world. Okay, so when they launched it, they promoted it with this hashtag, the doll evolves. Look, they have a blue-haired Barbie. Because she likes social justice.
But she needs like a nose ring and tattoos.
Yeah, she's still too feminine and pretty. So that was 2014, 2016. Coming back to your piece now.
Ridiculous.
So this is picking up around the same time. They're talking about that line we just looked at, different body sizes, tall, petite, curvy. This is one of them. Oh, wait, no, this is Ashley Graham. Model Ashley Graham has a Barbie doll that mimics her exact portions. It also launched Barbies based on real life people like film director Ava DuVernay, volleyball player Huey Rowe, I can't know who that is, and boxing champion Nicola Adams.
Yeah, I have no idea who any of those people are.
Yeah. And surprisingly, I read somewhere else, these dolls didn't sell very well at all.
I'm shocked.
Yeah. These people Barbies. Like what little girl is
birthing persons, Keri.
Yeah, but who's going to the store and is like, "Oh, I want a volleyball player Hui Roki doll." Like, no, what?
I want a Brittany Griner doll, and can I have like a jail cell set? She gets caught with marijuana in Russia.
No.
Yep, that'd be cool.
She's just very anti-American.
It's basically just a Ken doll that's painted black.
Barbies now come in 35 different skin tones with 94 hairstyles. There are gender neutral Barbies, sign language Barbies, and Barbies that use a wheelchair. Mattel's top selling Barbie in 2019 was black and had a short afro. So here are some of the 2020 additions to Mattel's Barbie Fashionistas line. So it includes one with vitiligo. Oh, there she is on the right.
Uh-huh.
That's the skin. It's the skin disorder, right? Where you have like
Yeah, Michael
spots.
Jackson had that. Yeah.
Okay, but I'm sorry. It's just like why?
There's
And
not
then
a demographic for it. I mean, they're making these toys like feel good about themselves, but there's not a large demographic that this toys are going to appeal to. It's just not.
right,
Sorry.
right. It's not. Look, one with vitiligo, a chronic autoimmune disorder that causes patches of skin to lose pigment. Also, look at this black girl in the center. She has a fake leg. Sorry.
So
Okay.
is that supposed to be a bald woman or a man? I don't know. But
I
because I don't know.
That's a bald woman with the hoop earrings.
Are you sure?
I'm pretty sure, but then look at the second one here. I think
Yeah,
that's
that's
a
what I
man.
said.
The long hair, that's a man.
Why is he there?
He doesn't fit in. It's like
What's his handicap?
Pauly Short. He looks like a surfer dude, but they just stuck him in with these fashionista Barbies, and
He's jobless. That's his handicap.
that's his handicap. He sits on the couch smoking too much weed. Okay, so that's 2020. The diversification has appeared to work. In 2021, Mattel sold $86 million from the Barbie family, which equates to $164 being bought every minute. In gross revenue, that's $1.6 billion. For comparison, up until 2009, Barbie had made $3 billion off Barbie sales altogether, according to Forbes. Are you kidding me? We were just saying this wouldn't work, and they're telling us that it did, that people bought these. I don't know. Okay, then British model Ellie Goldstein poses with Barbie's first doll with Down syndrome in London. In 2016, Kim Colmone, Barbie's vice president of design, told The Telegraph, "When you say Barbie to someone, a very clear image of a blonde-haired, blue-eyed, slim doll comes to mind. In a few years, this will no longer be the case." If that's true, and you said that in 2016, okay, so that's 7 years ago, and you're saying that's no longer going to be the case. Well, look at you now, 2023. You're putting out a movie with the blonde-haired, blue-eyed, slim Barbie.
And see, that's why I was so shocked about when this movie's coming out. I'm like, there's no way they can maintain that throughout the film of her being, skinny, blonde, young, good-looking white woman. This seems to go against the general flow of what's going on in our culture and what's going on with Mattel. So there must be something they're going to do in that movie to do away with that to some degree.
Yeah. I think that may be why a lot of the wrong thinkers, for lack of a better word, that I know were excited about it, because they're like, it looks like it's just going to be silly bubblegum fun with an old character that hasn't been, wokeified, but maybe I'm wrong.
Are you going to go see it?
I think so. I haven't been to a movie in a while, so I think it might be fun to go see it, or Sound of Freedom. By the way, I heard that there are YouTubers their channels are being pulled down if they review Sound of Freedom. Has anybody
Really?
else heard that? Yeah, there was.
Haven't heard
I
that.
saw one in particular on Twitter. Got their whole channel taken down.
Well, why does that not surprise me if that's true?
Okay, I'm looking at your link. Should we do the stuff you found
Yeah.
most disturbing now?
Yeah, pull this up. So this is the gender neutral Mattel dolls that have recently come out, and they're weird. That's all I'm saying.
Do you want to read this or tell me more about them?
I think it's pretty short. Let me just scroll down a little bit.
So this is from a site called Upworthy, and it says, "Step aside, Barbie. Mattel is launching its first line of gender-neutral dolls." This was in 2019. And so, to be to be clear, this is not Barbie, but it is Mattel. Okay, so they put
Right.
out this other line called Creatable World, and you can and they have different, like, you can swap the hair out and clothing and all this stuff, and they're supposed to be gender neutral. Why are you laughing?
Look at this. This doesn't induce laughter. Just look at
This outfit is terrible, I just have to say. It's
everything's
absolutely
terrible.
it's absolutely terrible. First of all, platform this doll is wearing platform sandals, which
Uh-huh.
I really don't like. That's just me. But then a flouncy kind of a mermaid flowery skirt with a horizontal striped more like kind of like a baseball top, which just doesn't go. Like that doesn't
Yeah. It's
that doesn't
tacky.
it's
Ugh.
really tacky. As the world slowly becomes more inclusive about gender expression, so is the toy aisle. Last year, Mattel, the creators of the ultimate gendered toy Barbie, did
You're
away with
roboting a little bit, Keri.
what's that mean?
Your voice, the audio, is roboting a little bit for me. I don't know. It's doing it for people in the audience, but
Like dropping in and out?
yeah, sounded like
Oh,
a transformer a little bit.
can anybody in the chat tell us, is my voice doing weird things for you?
Sounds better now.
Okay.
Continue. Sorry.
I hope it's okay. You keep an eye on the chat. Okay. Ryan says he didn't notice, so hopefully it's okay. As the world slowly becomes more inclusive about gender expression, so is the toy aisle. Last year, Mattel, the creators of the ultimate gendered toy Barbie, did away with boys and girls toy divisions in favor of a non-gendered section such as dolls or cars. I didn't know they did that.
Yep.
You mean in the toy aisle, they don't have boys and girls anymore? They have dolls and cars and I see.
I got an article on that. Yep.
Target, who I mentioned before, has also been moving away from gendered toy aisles. Last year, it announced it would phase out gender-based signage from a number of departments, including toys. While it may,
Wow.
yeah. While it may appear as though manufacturers and big box retailers taking a progressive stance, their choices are in total alignment with the market. Millennial parents have a growing interest in purchasing toys and clothing for their children that are gender neutral.
Do they?
Quote, as millennial parents start families of their own, we see them reconsidering some of the more traditional elements of parenting, said Dana Mackey, Associate Director of Lifestyles and Leisure at Mintel. As such, brands are trying to bridge this divide by developing toys that meet both kids and parents' gender expectations. Mattel has responded to this change in cultural market norms by launching the Creatable World series of genderless doll. Are you really trying to reach the kids' expectations or just the parents? Because it seems like you're just focusing on these millennial parents and what they want. The dolls, which cost $29.99, don't have broad shoulders like Ken or breasts like Barbie. Creatable World dolls can be played with as a boy, girl, or neither. They're slim with androgynous faces and short hair and can be fitted with wigs and wardrobe consisting of sneakers, graphic tees, hoodies, tutus, or camouflage pants. Quote, toys are a reflection of culture. And as the world continues to celebrate the positive impact of inclusivity, we felt it was time to create a doll line free of labels, says Kim Colmone, Senior Vice President of Mattel Fashion Doll Design. This is what I was talking about with you at the beginning, Mystery Chris. Mattel seems to be a brand that definitely is influenced, rather than setting culture and creating culture. It's very much just responds to whatever seems popular at the time. And because woke is the dominant religion, the dominant faith, at least in the mainstream, at least in the media, at least in entertainment and in schools, I think they're just catering to that. But you know what? If this culture was predominantly, they would be like, oh, let's put out Christian Barbie. You know, like if they were a different, they just pander.
It seems very lazy way of running a toy company.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess there would be the counter argument to this would be like, well, give people what they want, you know?
But they don't want that. I mean, sure, you can find some people, but largely not. No.
Look at this lie right here. Mattel's president, Richard Dixon, insists that creatable world dolls are not a political statement. Quote, we're not in the business of politics. We just like social justice, you said in a previous interview. And we respect the decision any parent makes around how they raise their kids. Our job is to stimulate imaginations. Our toys are ultimately a canvas for cultural conversation. But it's your conversation, not ours. Your opinion, not ours. Should we watch this Creatable World trailer?
I have no idea. I haven't watched it. You could try, see how crazy it is.
In our world, dolls are as limitless as the kids who play with them. Introducing Creatable World, a doll line designed to keep labels out and invite everyone in, making play more inclusive than ever before. Creatable World, all welcome.
All welcome. I think I saw a little black boy in a dress there. I don't know if you did.
I saw what I thought was a boy that kind of looked like a girl.
Mm-hmm. Creatable dolls. I don't feel like reading the rest of it.
All right. I think we got the gist.
We get the gist. I'll just read this last part. Creatable dolls are a welcome addition to the toy aisle because they give children what we all need: more choice and freedom. Children growing up today are at a wonderful... I mean, they act like this is a blank slate thing, but it's not. You are giving kids a message.
Mm-hmm.
You are giving them the gender neutral... You're giving them that aesthetic. Don't pretend like you're like, oh, you can shoot. You're showing them this is what's cool.
Yeah. And it's very frustrating because there's been studies showing that these gender or these sex preferences amongst kids for a particular type of toys has existed all throughout history, has existed in multiple cultures, of where boys tend to, in general, be interested in action figures and
Yes.
soldiers like G.I. Joe or Transformers and stuff, and girls have been interested in like Barbies and baby dolls and stuff. And that's not something that society is pushing on children. It's something that's innate in most children. They tend to gravitate towards these type of toys, and so it's very frustrating.
On average.
Yes, average. There's always exceptions, of course, but
Yeah.
on average, they tend to fall into those camps. And so it's very frustrating to see more and more of this trying to push this idea that it's all purely a social construct. That, these kids don't naturally gravitate to a type of toy. I mean, they've even seen this stuff in animals. Like a long time ago, looked up a study involving chimps, and it showed how like the male chimps were gravitated to more action type figures stuff. Female chimps tend to gravitate more towards too.
Are you talking about the Rhesus monkeys one?
I forget what type of monkeys it was. It was years ago. I looked this up.
Oh, it's Rhesus. I'm familiar with the Rhesus monkey ones, and that's absolutely true. Is there have been several studies with them with the baby monkeys, the female, the little girl monkeys, the female monkeys. If you give them two toys, they more often pick the doll. And the young male Rhesus monkeys will pick the truck, will pick the action item, which is fascinating.
Yeah.
Right?
When are they going to make gender neutral toys for the monkey?
We're going to give the monkeys different choices.
This toy line for chimps.
That's so funny because I was just thinking of that Rhesus monkey study while you were saying that. It's weird because on the one hand, the woke criticize Barbie and say, "Oh, her proportions are not average. They don't represent, what women's bodies look like on average." We need to make them look like women's bodies on average, the average women's body, average. It needs to be realistic. It needs to be realistic. But then when it comes to aesthetics, they're like, they ignore the average completely. They ignore the fact that the average little girl wants something feminine, and they're pretending like, the outliers are the norm. Oh, we need to do these gender neutral things. It's so weird. They cling to whatever argument helps them at the time. So if it comes to criticizing Barbie's proportions and her body size, then they're like, we need it to be accurate. It needs to reflect the average woman's size. But when it comes to aesthetically what little girls gravitate towards, they're like, screw the average. That's heteronormative. That's a restrictive, gendered idea of what girls want. We're going to do this instead.
Right. And I think a lot of this stuff is targeted towards boys, because I just see a lot of this culture targeting boys and trying to push feminized views of males onto boys and trying to get them to emulate that. And so obviously, if you try to market Barbie with the regular pink and dainty looking Barbie figure to boys, that's going to be a massive failure. And so they're trying to find another way around that. How do you do that? Start pushing these gender neutral stuff that's not quite as feminine, but more feminine than what you expect compared to, say, like a G.I. Joe or something. And that's the way they're trying to get the young boys.
Yeah. They are definitely putting a lot of little boys, especially little black boys, in dresses. In the mainstream, in the media. I see a lot of that. I don't know. I've seen some criticisms of that and people speculating on why that is, but okay. I'm gonna stop sharing this. The gender neutral article. Okay.
Yeah, you don't have to read from this one. Just show the pictures, because this is, again, more gender neutral toy lines. But I think this one is specifically Barbie. So I think this is Barbie related.
Is this the Guardian one?
Yes.
Oh, it's the same. It's Mattel's Creatable World, but it has more pictures.
Okay.
Yeah. It's Mattel. I know it's confusing to anyone listening. So Mattel launched this Creatable World line. It's technically not Barbie. It's not in the Barbie universe, but it is the same toy company. And so this is an article from The Guardian. It was time. The maker of Barbie launches line of gender neutral dolls. And here's more of the dolls in that line that we just looked at. Mattel release comes as toy companies retool products to align with fast advancements in representation, inclusion, and diversity. And so these are all the customizations you can make with each of these dolls. Creatable World is what it's called. The dolls differ from Mattel's gendered Barbie and G.I. Joe dolls in subtle but significant ways. Oh, look, this is the phrase I used a second ago, that they try to get us to think it's a blank slate. It's not. The dolls are a blank slate. No, they're not. Because you know what? Look at the next sentence. No broad shoulders, no full hips, and no long lashes. So they're not a blank slate. You're absolutely taking characteristics out and saying, you know what? Broad shoulders in male dolls, no, we're not going there. It's too toxically masculine, right? No full hips on the girls, no long lashes on the girls. It's too feminine. They're not a blank slate. You're giving these children messaging.
Why are the feminists that are saying that it's bad to get rid of the more feminine version of Barbie? Because it's always weird how there's like two different versions of feminists, the ones that, don't want women to be objectified, and the other ones that want women to be more sexually open. And it's just never understood how they could coexist without tearing each other apart, which they should have a long time ago.
They do tear each other apart.
Not enough.
They do. I don't know. I haven't seen a lot of feminists criticizing this, but there's so much to criticize these days. I could have missed it. So I don't know. But like, it's like, here we go. Children of any gender identification are encouraged to play with them. There's no such thing as gender identification. Like, so children of any sex, you mean? Okay, great. Toys are a reflection of culture. This is a quote. And as the world continues to celebrate the positive impact of inclusivity, we felt it was time to create a doll line free of labels, Mattel said. Free of labels? Well,
all the gender.
You're calling them gender neutral. That's a label.
Surprised they haven't done like a Mr. Potato Head type doll where you can just draw on whatever gender you want.
Yes. Look at this. Through research, we heard that kids don't want their toys dictated by gender norms. This line allows all kids to express themselves freely. Is that what you heard? Maybe it's because, I don't know, I would need to look this up, but maybe the kind of job I told you that my friend does is only happening in Los Angeles, where they're bringing kids in to see what they, and all those kids unfortunately have woke millennial parents. Maybe if you were doing those studies on what kids want to play with in a place that's not captured like that, you wouldn't see the same thing. I don't know. It says, we're hopeful creatable world will encourage people to think more broadly about how all kids can benefit from doll play. Toy companies are vigorously retooling their products to align with advancements in representation, inclusion, and diversity that Gen Z children, not their millennial parents, are largely responsible for. Oh, here they're putting it on the kids. Oh, look. Asking it and you shall receive. Studies examining gender identification among young children are hard to come by, but a recent report by the Williams Institute at the University of California, Los Angeles, found that 27% of California teens surveyed identified as gender non-conforming.
Oh, I wonder why that is.
You think that has nothing to do with them being in California, nothing to do with their millennial parents? Did you see this here? Just this month, numerous conversations starting toys and board games have come out. Hasbro released a gender-swapped version of Monopoly called Miss Monopoly, where women players earn more than men.
What? How does that even work?
There's no way. Have they done a black Monopoly?
They steal everything?
No, where you earn more money than... What if
reparations? It would just be reparations the game.
Yeah. What if you showed up at game night? That would be a funny sketch. And everybody brings the board game that's according to their identity group. And it's like, and people are like, let's play Monopoly. And I'm like, no, we're only playing Miss Monopoly where I get more points because I'm a woman. And you're like, no, I brought Black Monopoly. We're playing Black Monopoly where I get more points.
Funny.
Meanwhile, Mattel released a slew of culturally diverse Barbies, including a Dia de los Muertos Barbie. Oh, the Day of the Dead Barbie. That garnered accusations of cultural appropriation. This is what I'm talking about. Every time they try to pander, they get criticized by the people they're pandering to. So they did this Barbie and people said it was cultural appropriation.
There's literally nothing they can do that won't get criticism. It's nothing.
Why do they try? Why do they keep trying? Just stop. Oh, this Barbie's pretty cool. Let me show you this Barbie.
The one I just talked about here?
Yeah, I just looked it up. Let's see if I can find a bigger picture than this. It's pretty cool, but of course, being criticized, that makes sense.
Let's see.
I'm gonna take this off. Can you see this?
Yep.
Look at this.
Oh, that is cool.
Look how cool. As an adult, if I were to buy a Barbie, it might be this one. Look at this guy. What? Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I want to see some of the cultural appropriation stuff. I didn't see this when I was looking up. There were so many controversies. Like they're always being criticized by the woke, and yet they keep pandering to the woke. Like, why not just stop?
I can't. What
Here's
are the
an
Native
article.
American versions? I've not seen any of them.
They probably have one. Can you see? This is an article from CNN, 2020. This is a couple years ago, 3 years ago. Some say a Day of the Dead Barbie is guilty of cultural appropriation, but its designer says it's celebrating tradition. Look how beautiful this is, how much detail.
Mm.
Mattel is back with a Dia de Muertos Barbie doll, and it's once again generating backlash. The doll, the second in Mattel's La Catrina collection of Barbies, was designed to celebrate the annual centuries-old Mexican folk tradition, sometimes called, I'll just say the English instead of butchering it, continuing, the Day of the Dead. It's celebrated during the first 2 days of November, in which people honor their departed loved ones. But critics say the doll is a form of commercialized cultural appropriation, an attempt to profit off the cultural elements of Mexican culture. Okay, can we just say something here? This happens to all elements of all cultures. It does. I heard this criticism because I was planning to go to Mexico City for Day of the Dead a few years ago. We ended up not going. I do want to go one year, but I was planning at the time when I thought I was going, planning my makeup and everything. And of course, at the time, I was coming across articles that were like, it's too commercialized now, and it's too many tourists, and it's too culturally appropriating, and all this stuff. And it's like that happens with every cultural celebration. Look at what's happened to Christmas. Look at Christmas. Do you think that's about Christ? It's not. It's completely commercialized.
It's about
It's
the birth of the Easter Bunny, Keri.
right. It's an excuse for a party and for celebration, and it's and the people who keep the meaning of Christmas alive do so out of choice, and they find ways to do so in this overly commercial world, and they do it on their own personally. And you can do the same with Day of the Dead, but to say it's not like this cultural celebration has been uniquely preyed upon because it's Mexican, and you know you're being it's being taken advantage of and exploited. Yes, every cultural holiday is. So that, I think that's just, I don't know, that's ludicrous. It says it's an attempt to profit off the cultural elements of Mexican culture. Well, yeah. She wears a delicate lace gown and has her face painted in typical calavera, Spanish for skull style, a design which appears in masks, candied sugar skulls, and on faces during the holiday. Wow, it retails for $75.99. It's currently sold out. Look at this quote. I don't think Mattel has a genuine interest in Mexican culture, Gloria Gonzalez. Do you think they have a genuine interest in anything? Like even do you think they really care about social justice? No. They don't
Toy
care.
company.
It's a toy company. They're using it to sell things. A sociology professor at the University of Texas at Austin and a Mexican immigrant told CNN, summing up much of the criticism against the company, it's more an interest in making money. Yes! Who is this doll going to? Is it to the Mexican worker who cleans homes? Are they identifying themselves with Barbie?
Do they really want to see a Barbie that's made Barbie, Mexican made Barbie?
I guess so. No, Mexican made Barbie. Okay, but let's at least listen to the response here. This part's in. Day of the Dead has been secularized through pop culture, she says. And then it has found a market in this country. Barbie's also already problematic. It's fascinating to see how these standards of beauty are placed on girls, and now we have another layer on top. Gonzalez Lopez isn't the only one to have an issue with the doll. When Mattel first announced the doll last month on Twitter, users there questioned whether any of the profits from the doll were going back to the Mexican community. What? Mattel declined CNN's request for comment, but the company did share a statement from Javier Miebe, the Mexican-American artist who designed the doll. See, they always try to cancel, like, they're like, this is cultural appropriation. Hey, it's a Mexican designer, but you don't care about that, do you? You want to crap all over his design and his creation, which is beautiful. He says, it doesn't matter, right? He says, as a Mexican-American designer, it was important to me to use my creative voice to design a doll that celebrates the bright colors and vivid textures of my culture, as well as have the traditions I grew up with represented and celebrated in Barbie. For this doll, I was inspired by the color gold seen throughout Mexican culture, jewelry, buildings, statues, and artwork, and highlighted throughout the design. I highlighted it throughout the design. The company described the doll saying it honors the traditions, symbols, and rituals seen throughout this time. This is why Mattel, like, you should never, don't pander to these people because they'll always crap on it anyway. Like anything you do to try and pander, they're going to crap on it. But you know what? I think this doll is beautiful.
They'll never learn their lesson. They'll just keep doing it. Same stuff will happen over and over again. Doesn't matter.
Okay, what else do you want me to pull up?
Can you briefly just pull up the BBC article? Don't have to read from this, but I just wanted to show this as another reason why people living in California should move.
Is this about the gender neutral toy aisles?
Yes. So this came down from Gavin Newsom. And this is California's requiring all stores with toy aisles to make them gender neutral.
Wait, the government is mandating this?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, that's new. I mean, I knew that some stores were doing it. California to enforce gender neutral toy aisles in large stores. What? California has become the first U.S. state to require large retailers to display toys and childcare items in a gender neutral way. The new law signed by Governor Gavin Newsom on Saturday does not ban boys and girls sections in shops, but large stores must also have a separate gender neutral section.
So stupid.
These must display a reasonable selection of toys and childcare items, regardless of whether they've been marketed towards a particular sex. Companies will face a $250 fine for their first violation and a $500 fine for others.
This creates more government workers too to go around policing.
Policing toy stores. What a waste of money. Your tax dollars are going to these. The new law was passed by California state legislature last month and will come into effect in 2024, and it has been signed by Governor Newsom. Oh my gosh. Oh, in its wording, it said the changes would help consumers spot, quote, unjustified differences in similar products and tackle gender bias in children's products. The bill was inspired by his staff member's 8-year-old daughter who asked her mother why she had to go to the boys section to find a certain toy. The segregation of toys by a social construct of what is appropriate for which gender is the antithesis of modern thinking. You may have this opinion, but for the government to mandate that private stores do this is just a crazy overreach and such a waste of government resources.
So the government enforces these gender neutral aisles, and then people can come up and steal under $950 worth of gender neutral toys and leave the store and not get a felony for that. So good old California.
Wait, what do you mean? They can steal?
You don't know about in California?
No, tell me.
Decriminalize theft under $950. So it used to be a felony. It's no longer a felony. It's a misdemeanor. And so that's part of the reason why you're having such high crime in a lot of these cities. Like I see NBC and some of these other news organizations putting up all these videos saying Walmart or Cracker Barrel or whatever company is closing all of its stores in San Francisco or Portland and these other cities on the West Coast, and they always leave out like the fact that so many of these cities and states on the West Coast have decriminalized theft.
Mystery Chris, you're blowing my mind tonight.
I didn't know you didn't know that. Really?
No, look at this. Prop 47. This is what you're talking about. Watch. Man steals items from U.S. store, walks away, security personnel look on. Under Prop 47, stealing goods worth less than $950 does not count as a felony anymore, but a misdemeanor. Cops say it has become a common sight in San Francisco as the new law has emboldened criminals rather than making it safe for the general public.
Mm-hmm. All these videos of people just running into stores with trash bags, loading it up, just leaving, walking out. I can't do nothing.
This is crazy. Yeah, look at that. The cops are just standing there. But this guy, a man was caught on camera stealing items from a Walgreens retail chain store in San Francisco while the security personnel at the store looked on and let him go. The video shows a man with his face covered picking up items in a trash bag and fleeing on his bicycle. The cop is just standing there. What?
I know it's hard to believe. And it's not just California. I know Illinois recently passed the Safety Act, which is decriminalizing nonviolent offensives. And so thankfully San Antonio didn't do that. I think on San Antonio's ballot like a couple months ago, there was a proposition there that would have decriminalized theft under $700. And they paired it up with also allowing doctors to perform abortion not to be charged, and also legalizing a certain amount of marijuana. They mixed all those together thinking, oh, we got it. You know, if you include abortion and marijuana, then people will vote for this, even though it has that provision about theft. But thankfully that didn't pass. So
they try to like get people. Gene Ellis says this is old news. Yeah, it said it was in 2014, but I didn't know about it, so it's not old to me. Mystery Chris knew about it. That's okay. That's a whole nother rabbit hole. To get back on the subject, should we talk about? Go ahead.
Let's go to let's talk about the human Barbie.
Yeah. Are these the people who are getting the plastic surgery to look like Barbie?
Yes. And so to the argument that Barbie's promoting unhealthy beauty standards, well, with some people, I think that's true. Although these people probably have much more trauma in their life than what they let on.
Yes. Oh, gosh. Valerie Lukyanova and human Ken doll Justin Jedlicka met on a TV show in 2013. According to her, his total surgery expenditures of $800,000 are exorbitant, as she claims to be entirely natural, save for breast augmentation. I don't believe that for a second, that she's entirely natural. What?
So creepy looking. How'd she get her waist like that? Jeez.
Oh, she might have had ribs removed. That's what some people do. Yeah, there are some women who've had ribs removed. Yeah, that waist is unreal. Okay, so this is a human Barbie.
So creepy. Does it kind of look like AI? Like AI art?
It does. She definitely looks like not completely human. Like, look at her there. Part of it's the way they're doing the eye makeup, though. That's very creepy.
Imagine how what she's going to look like when she gets old. It's terrifying.
Is this another one?
Yeah, this is about a dude who became a Ken doll. Or which one are you at? Or I think
the 7 real life Barbie and Ken dolls?
Yes.
No. Ugh.
But wait, there's more.
Okay, so that guy in the middle is the one we just saw. Life in Plastic is fantastic. From Barbie mom Nanette Hammond to human Ken doll Justin Jedlicka. Check out 7 humans who look like dolls. And this woman, just like the first one, is arguing that she never got plastic surgery. She says, I just look like a doll.
Yeah, sure, honey.
I don't believe that. There's the one that we just saw. Oh. Okay.
So ridiculous.
Blondie Bennett. I'm just scrolling through these. This guy he's freakish. Those lips, he makes me think of Escape from LA.
Oh, yeah, the doctor in there.
Yeah, the plastic surgeon scene. Ugh.
Is that Bruce Campbell?
Yeah, Bruce Campbell. He's it says he underwent his first surgery at the age of 18. Has since gone on to have 149 procedures. The human Ken doll is what he calls himself. Oh no. Oh.
Sweet dreams, everyone.
No, that was just Oh, Rodrigo Alves, a UK-based flight attendant, has spent more than $325,000 to enhance his Ken doll look. His surgeries have included ab implants,
implants? That's a thing?
liposuction. Ab implants? Yeah. People get butt implants now, too.
That I know, yes. A lot of black women do that.
Oh, no. If you saw this nightmare coming down the aisle of your flight,
It's like, time to get off.
be like that lady saying, that guy is not real. That viral video. Maybe this guy was at the back of the plane. That's why she was like, that guy is not real. I'm getting off.
He's there to scare terrorists. They go, off of the plane.
Would you like a coffee? Okay. There's another one.
What do you think happened in these people's lives?
I think they get a fair amount of publicity and find a way to, if they want to, make money off of it, because there's all kinds of crazy ways that people are making money in this day and age online. Like, I'm not just talking about OnlyFans and that stuff. I'm talking about like these viral clips of this game that's been going around where people just like give you emojis and you react to it and pretend like you're eating. If they give you a carrot, you pretend like you're eating the carrot or whatever. Have you seen this?
Oh, yeah, I have.
So I imagine they make money off of being the human Ken doll, you know?
So stupid. Why I know. Look like Beast from Beauty and the Beast. You remember the 80s Beauty and the Beast show?
Yes.
That's what he looked like.
Yes, he does. Okay, here's another one. Former human Ken doll becomes a woman.
Yeah, I think this was the same dude. I think he became a woman, though.
Really?
Yeah, I guess we shouldn't be surprised.
He was one of the ones on the other list.
Yeah.
Human Ken doll now unrecognizable after more surgery. Oh, this was the flight attendant guy?
Yeah.
After spending 2 years transitioning to a woman and $1.4 million on surgeries,
Where did he get that money from?
I mean, being
Is
a
he
flight
prostituting himself?
I don't know. Probably online. 1.4 million on surgeries. The former human Ken doll looks completely different. So they call him a she. She's been undergoing a string of new surgeries since coming out as transgender in 2020, and now Jessica Alves. So he goes by Jessica now. Looks completely unrecognizable. The 38-year-old rose to fame after spending thousands having surgeries to transform himself into the human Ken doll. But 2 years later, he revealed that he's actually transgender, has spent the last 2 years altering his appearance. I'm not using the pronouns they're giving. Yeah, that was him. That was him there, the creepy nightmare flight attendant. And now, that was in 2018, and now this is him. Oh, wow.
Are you sure that's not a picture of Madonna?
Oh my. Look at the nose.
Michael Jackson knows. Oh.
And the mouth. Why? Oh no. Oh no. No. Oh. Oh.
Maybe he got a hold of one of those plus size Barbie dolls, and that's what
Oh.
inspired him.
Gross. I'm not even going to read this stuff where he's talking about his fake lady parts, sex and stuff. I just skim right over that. It says he was emotional during the interview, saying, "My life will start now." So all the plastic surgery to make yourself look like Ken your life didn't start. It wasn't until you decided to switch gears and become Barbie that now your life will start. No, you're still going to be yourself. You're still going to be unhappy. You're still going to be chasing something, I believe. Oh.
What a nightmare. When you close your eyes tonight, you're just going to see that face.
So creepy. Hey, Brahmabul. He says his brand new bonus hole. No. Okay, are we gonna do some funny stuff? I need to get
Yes,
that
go
out of my.
funny stuff. Yeah.
Let's end on some funny stuff.
Yeah.
Which one?
So pull up the Johnny Cash one.
No. Oh,
Yes. So
sacrilege.
last week we did the AI music episode, and we played some AI music, and the person who did this one did the one of Elvis singing Baby Got Back. Well, this is a brand new one of Johnny Cash singing Barbie Girl, that stupid Aqua song that I've always hated.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, I'm not Johnny Cash. I'm a Barbie girl.
No.
In a Barbie world. Life in plastic, it's fantastic. You can brush my hair, undress me everywhere. Oh, come on, Barbie, let's go party. 'Cause
No.
I'm in a Barbie world.
No, I'm done. I can't.
No?
It's sacrilegious.
What are you talking about? I don't know.
Don't put that in his mouth.
Johnny Cash would love that song.
No.
Maybe. I don't know.
Thank you, Z Highness. She's like, thank you, Therese. No, just no. Thank you. 999. I agree. Is nothing sacred? No.
No, nothing is.
You're certainly giggling a lot.
Yeah.
What is
Let's
this
see.
Barbie dance one?
So this is a dance competition where two people did a impersonation of Barbie and Ken. And it's more like just interesting and kind of weird than funny.
Okay.
And you might want to mute it after a few seconds as it plays some music.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, so it's the Barbie girl song.
Yeah. So they dance to it. Pretty creative. I'll give them
It
that.
is very creative. They maintain this style the whole
Yeah.
time. It's like
Reminds me of
mine.
those Duracell. You remember those Duracell commercials, the plastic people?
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
It's like a very good version of the robot. Also, look at their faces. Their faces are completely frozen. I admire the commitment.
And now they're real.
Oh, okay. Now they're really gonna dance. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that was interesting. And then bring up the Russian army one. Yeah. This is what's going on in Ukraine. A live look at what's going on in Ukraine right now.
I have a feeling you're not telling me this.
Песня, конечно, не звучит.
It's fantastic. You can grab my head and test me everywhere. Imagination, life is your creation. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Barbie, let's go party. Come on, Barbie, let's go party. Come on, Barbie, let's go party.
Why?
That's how they're going to win the war.
Is
Powered
that
by
real?
Barbie Girl. Yeah.
That's real. They didn't like manipulate the voices with AI.
I don't think so. I think it's real. It's a pretty old video.
Is it? That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay.
This.
Is this
Wanna
another
get your-
army one?
Yeah, well, this was a American army, and this is them singing Baby Shark, and I know you don't get that reference from last week when we were talking about it, but still, it's kind of funny.
Baby shark, baby shark, baby shark, baby shark, mommy shark, mommy shark, mommy shark.
I don't get it. No, it's a kid's show though, right?
Well, it's a song, yeah. Baby Shark, it goes like that, and so yeah.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Okay. What other one do you have? Barbieheimer?
Do you want to watch this fake trailer? Someone mixed Oppenheimer and Barbie together since Oppenheimer opens on the same day as Barbie.
Is this an AI mix?
I don't think so. I think someone edited them themselves.
Okay, let's see.
They may have used some AI for the voice, actually.
Our industrial might and scientific innovation all connected here, a secret laboratory.
Hey, Barbieheimer, can I come to your house today?
Sure. I don't have anything big planned, just becoming death, the destroyer of worlds. You should stop by.
So cool.
Build a town. Build it fast. Keep everyone there until the bomb is done. Where are you going here?
I'm coming with you.
Did you bring uranium?
I literally go nowhere without.
That's pretty well done. That's okay. The funny one that I want to show you, I can't show you because I know they'll pull our video down. It was an SNL. It was actually a really funny SNL sketch about making fun of the people they had hired to be Barbie social media marketers. Did you ever see that one?
I don't think so. Maybe I did.
It was so funny, surprisingly so, and dark and just weird. So if you guys get a chance, look up Barbie SNL marketing or social media and you'll find it, and let me know what you think about it in the comments. If you watch it, I wish I could enjoy this laugh with you guys because it makes me laugh so much. But I can't. So let's do tattoos.
Yeah, bring up tattoos.
So this is a little game that we play at the end of each pop culture episode where we just try and see are there people who actually got this subject matter tonight tattooed on their body. And if you're asking, are there people with Barbie tattoos? The answer, of course, is yes. Look at all these Barbie tattoos.
No, I was surprised at how many there were. I shouldn't be, but
there's the vintage Barbie. Yeah, Barbie's so iconic. I would imagine this is one of the ones that's just probably a ton.
No plus size Barbies yet.
Not yet. I don't see Barbie
I don't think there'll be any.
Nobody has personal Becky tattooed on there. One of the controversies we didn't cover during tonight's show, but I saw when I was looking through all the different Barbie controversies throughout the decades, one of them was tramp stamp Barbie. Do you remember that one?
No.
What? Yeah, she got a tattoo of Ken, like a heart with Ken in it. They released a Barbie with a tattoo right there, what's called the tramp stamp.
What?
Location. Yeah. You didn't see that?
No.
Since we're doing tattoos.
Disturbing on multiple levels.
I'll show you.
Tramp stamp Barbie.
Yeah. Here she is. It was part of like a tattoo series of Barbies that they put out. Of course, they didn't call it tramp stamp Barbie. That's what everybody else called it. And it generated a lot of controversy. Oh, it was a Barbie called Polystylin Tattoos Barbie. And it came with these different little, temporary tattoos. But that was on her, see that like on her back there, the tramp stamp?
What? What?
So a lot of parents didn't like that because it's like, hey, you're pushing tattoos on my children, Anyway.
Wow.
Especially because I think this was around the time that in the canon, in the Mattel toy canon, there was a moment in time where they decided Barbie and Ken were going to break up, and they broke up. Did you know that?
No.
So this was around that same time too, which is like, so that just shows hey, don't get the tattoo. Maybe you might be Mattel might have you breaking up with him within the decade.
Yeah, or they get married and then divorce, and Ken gets put on alimony, and then has to move in with his best friend in a tiny apartment and drive a minivan to work every day.
She has to go get tattoo removal services, and there's a divorce court Barbie.
Midlife crisis Barbie.
Midlife crisis, yeah. Oh, you guys, thanks for hanging out with us tonight, going through the history of Barbie and Mattel. If you have suggestions for future topics, please leave a comment. We're always open to suggestions, and if you get a chance to watch that SNL Barbie sketch, let me know what you think. I think it's during the unfunny years, but it was a genuinely funny sketch. And I think that's it. Do you have anything else?
Nope. No announcements.
Tomorrow, I've got an interview coming out with Frank McCormick. You guys may know him on Twitter or online as Chalkboard Heresy. He was one of the teachers who was a CRT whistleblower. He's a former high school teacher, history teacher. And for a while before he resigned, he was blogging and tweeting under the name Chalkboard Heresy because he felt like a heretic in the school system that was becoming increasingly woke. And the interview, it was great because he's a great storyteller, and he told the whole story of what happened to him while in that school district. And I wasn't familiar. I knew the broad strokes, but I wasn't familiar with a lot of it. And he's just amazing. He exposes woke in schools. He's an education advocate, and that'll be out tomorrow. So if you get a chance, definitely tune in for that interview. And otherwise, then on Friday, I'll see you guys for a live Kerfuffle Rake at noon Central. That's it. Anything from you?
No. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Okay. See you guys later. Bye.
Bye.